Okay, so for this videos, I'm going to talk about the debriefing on chapter 12 and 13 quiz. In this case, I will go through most of the MC question with you and also go through the structure question with you. So for question number one, okay, so it asked you about which of the following statement about the production of sperm and ova in human is correct. So if you look at here, actually, you can see that for the first statement, it is definitely wrong. Now, in this terms, okay, we use here, it is talking about production. Now, production of sperm, of course, it is greatest during the puberty. But then, okay, once we move on to talk about the ova. Now, remember the production of ova that is the greatest, it would be the time where we are born. Okay, so in this case, okay, when you look at this statement, so statement one, it is not correct, okay? So you may ask a question, isn't that there is something related to the ova? During the puberty. Yes, okay. Remember that, okay, for during the puberty, it will be the release of ova. Okay. So in this case, okay, ova is released, okay, during the puberty. Next, production of sperm still occur in elderly men. Yes, that is true. Okay. The release of ova stop only when a woman reach the menopause. So yes, of course, the release of ova will stop, okay, when the woman's reach the menopause. Okay, menopause in here, uh, in Cantonese, we call it 停經. So in English, we are saying that there is no menstruation. So in this case, okay, by looking at it, we can see that, okay, it is the one and sorry, two and three. So in this case, the answer it would be C. Okay. So next, okay, then we move on towards to the second question. Now, for the second question, it asks you about the a contraceptive device. Okay, in this case, we call it the IUD, in which it will be placed inside the female reproductive system. So, where we can place this device, okay, into the female reproductive system, it would be our uh, uterus. So in this case, okay, the part that the site of action, it would be X in this case, okay? So by looking at it, okay, we can notice that, okay, actually both C and D is not correct. Then which one it is correct? So definitely it would be because inhibit the thickening of the uterine lining, normally we will use some medicine or medication, but not using the device. Okay, so in this case, actually, it would be the prevents the implantation of embryo. In this case, it would be B. Next, okay, fertilization. Okay, it will take place in which area? So of course, okay, if we are looking for the fertilization, okay, so meaning that we are talking about the combination of male gamete and also the female gamete in our pollinator flower. So in this case, okay, definitely it would be structure D. Okay, next, okay, then here we can see that it is so special that there are some transfer of pollen grain. So as both flower, it has been blossom. So in this case, there is a spread of pollen grain and also yes, there is a spread of pollen grain. And the pollen grain may land on the stigma of an other flowers or the flower itself. So in this case, okay, it would be causing, okay, the fertilization of the gamete. So now, if you look at here, actually, it is a flowering plant. So what does this mean? If it is a flowering plant, meaning that actually it is the uh, times that where the whole flower, okay, both flower are actually, okay, coming from the same individual. So in this case, okay, as it is coming from the same individuals, so even though it is two different flowers, but we will say that it is what we call self-pollination because it is himself or itself. So in this case, it would be definitely A or B. But then, okay, whether there is any genetically difference comparing with the, I mean, from the offspring that is produced, that of course there is genetically different because we produce gamete cell. And the gamete, okay, they will have a different composition due to the independent assortment. So in this case, the answer here, it would be B. So now we move on to the structure question. For the structure question, we can see there are named the vessel, okay, X and Y. So if you look at here, actually, okay, we can see that, okay, the vessel X, it is connected towards to the embryo's heart. Now, this is the fetus heart. So in this case, as X, it is the part that get into or towards to the heart. So as it is toward to the heart, so in this case, okay, it would be the vein. But on the other hand, okay, at this one, it is away from the heart. So as it is away from the heart, then it would be the artery. Is it clear? Then, as it is the vessel and also the vein and artery that connect the baby's heart and the placenta, so it will be the umbilical vein and also the umbilical artery. And why it would be the umbilical vein? Oh, sorry, my bad. It should be in reverse. The X, it should be umbilical vein, and the Y, it should be umbilical artery. So then in this case, okay, which one it will have a higher pressure? Of course, it will be vessel wide because it is the umbilical artery. The reason is that, okay, it is the vessel that pump out the fetal blood from the heart towards to the placenta. Okay, then it asks you to draw the arrow to show which carbon dioxide is produced by the fetus and is transported, okay, and eventually removed from the body. So in this case, as it requires us to talk about how the carbon dioxide are transferred. So in this case, carbon dioxide. So you may ask a question, sir, okay, whether it should be come out from the lungs. But if you still remember that, can the human fetus breathe via the lungs? No, it cannot. So in this case, we will not, okay, uh, talking or we will not involve any lungs in this structure or in this pathway. And very special that, okay, according to this part, okay, as the right ventricle pressure is slightly higher than the left ventricle pressure in the fetus. So in this case, okay, there is a certain pathway or artery that allows blood to bypass the fluid-filled lung. So in this case, rather than they goes to the lungs, so it will bypass and it will goes okay towards to the ductus arteriosus. So in this case, okay, if you look at here, which one it would be the uh, possibility that has a high concentration of carbon dioxide? Of course, it would be the body tissue. So the body tissue, it would be the first, okay, structure in which, okay, uh, uh, transport the carbon dioxide. And then the carbon dioxide is then transport towards to the right atrium, and then the right atrium will be transport towards to the right ventricle, and then the right ventricle it will pass through towards to the ductus arterius, and in this case, and at this case, okay, we can see that okay the sorry just a second. So in this case, okay, the um artery actually the ductus artery actually bypass the lungs and then well it goes to the ventricle. So actually if you look at here it will what slightly higher. So in this case it would be also bypass the left ventricle and directly towards to the via the vessels Y and towards to the placenta. And this is how the whole mechanism or the root will occur, okay, when we are working on this question. Next, okay, question two, it asks you about photograph one below shows a lily flower. And photograph two, it shows a transverse section through one of the structure in the flower. So it asks you to find out, okay, which part of the flower, which part of the flower showed the photograph two that is taken from. So of course, definitely it would be the anther. If you look at the photomicrograph one, photomicrograph two, so the shape actually is similar towards to the um okay showing you on the right, okay, which is the photograph two. So in this case, the X actually it will be the pollen grain, and these eggs are actually extracted or taken from the anther, in which, okay, the part that we label. So in this case, can you tell me what is the cell division that leads to the production of structure X? Now, it asks you about, okay, how we can produce structure X. X, it is a pollen grain. So definitely the type of cell division, it would be meiotic cell division, but not meiosis, okay? As I have mentioned that meiosis, it only referring to the nuclear division, but it does not involve, okay, other perspective. Next, okay, name two significant of the type of cell division in B. So first, it produce, okay, the genetic variation in gamete. Next, okay, apart from that, okay, um, it also produce the haploid gamete, which is ensure the restoration of the diploid number of chromosome. So in this case, okay, it gives us, okay, the haploid gamete. So in this case, it will produce a more genetic variated gamete. And apart from that, it also can ensure that restoration, okay, of the diploid number of chromosome can be made during the fertilization, even though there is genetic variation. Okay. So next, okay, so just and explain one features. Okay, so I don't go through with you. You can refer to the answer. For example, it is rough and spiky, and this help the pollen grains to attach itself, not just carry. Okay. Now, if you write, okay, carry, sorry, I can't give you the marks. Okay, because carry is different from stick or attach. So what means carry? This is carry, but attach is something like this, okay? So once, okay, I grab the pen is attached towards me. So meaning that even though I did not carry it, okay, I did not hold it, it was still, okay, stick on my hand, okay? Then this is what we say that, okay, it is attached, okay? Next, okay, farmers usually use these vegetative parts rather than the seed to grow the new lily plant. Explain why. That is because the vegetative propagation is faster and it requires less time, okay, for us to producing the daughter cells because more uh, nutrient has been retained in the bulb. Next, okay, the desired characteristic of the parent's plant can be retained in the daughter plant. So this will be the answer, okay, that you can find in the Google Classroom. Okay, so if you have any other question, feel free to ask me about it. Okay, so this would be the end of the debriefing of chapter 12 to chapter 13 text.